You're listening to the Fish on Friday podcast. I'm Lucian Leone, and I'm joined by my regular co-host, Robert Moore-Jumonville. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you, Lucian.
It's so good to see you again, even though we're doing this remotely this time.
Right?
And we have a very special guest for this segment. It's Father Riley O'Shea. Welcome, Father.
Thank you, Lucian. Yeah, it's great to be here with you.
Well,
Yeah,
and
good to have
Father
you with us, brother.
Riley, the reason I asked Father Riley to be on as a guest is I was chatting with him not too long ago, and I had mentioned that Bernadette, my wife, and I had been to Our Lady of Champion over the summer. And Father Riley said, I think you said, "Oh, I've been there 3 times." And I thought, okay, this is exactly the person we need to have on to do this podcast because I've only been there once, and I've just recently come to learn about Our Lady of Champion, and have just been incredibly inspired by the story. But before we talk about Our Lady of Champion, I'd love Father Riley to just kind of give us some of his background.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. So I've been a priest for just over a year now. So I was ordained June 8th, 2024, which happened to be the feast of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. I was ordained
Ah,
at the cathedral here in Lansing, which is our patroness is the Immaculate Conception, our Blessed Mother. So it's beautiful to have Mary, yeah,
yeah,
have my
propitious.
priesthood entrusted to Mary from the very beginning under her Immaculate Heart. And
Yeah,
so definitely feel like Mary has taken me as her own, as her priest and as her son. So very grateful for the role Mary's had in my life. And so, yeah, ordained. And then the bishop sent me here to East Lansing, and which has been great. Yeah, definitely a blessing to be here back in East Lansing because I graduated from MSU about 10 years ago now. Yeah, class of 2015 from MSU St. John's. And honestly, when I was graduating from MSU, I had no idea that I'd be back here as a priest. I graduated with an engineering degree, ended up working, yeah, in the field for about 3 years. But over those years, that really the seed was planted when I was in East Lansing at St. John's in terms of like a vocation to the priesthood. But yeah, it took some time to mature. But after a couple of years, working, through the graces from our Blessed Mother, really that really led me to have an open heart to surrender to God's will for my life, which was to enter seminary and to become a priest. Yeah, it's been a joyful life. Definitely very happy to be here, and it's in fact, yeah, it's kind of fun to minister to the students at MSU, and even to like get alumni back. Tomorrow, actually, I'll be presiding at a marriage between two alumni that met, and which is kind of fun because I was actually there for their first date. We have a dance that comes up every year at St. John's in December around the feast of St. Nicholas. Um, so it's kind of had
Well,
that.
Robert and I were there last year, so that's
we
so
were.
that
Yeah,
so
Okay.
anyway, that's where they met.
my wife and I danced really hard at that.
Yep, they met there when we were all students at MSU, and yeah, now I get to be their priest at their wedding as they come back to East Lansing to get married. So it's a blessing to be back in this community to minister in this capacity, and yeah, in a way that only the Lord could have like
Yeah.
put it all together. So it's definitely very grateful to be back in this capacity as a priest. So, yeah, as you said, a great parish here with Father Gordon as our pastor and Father Corey Bilodeau as my brother's associate priest here. And so it's yeah, that's a little overview. But
It's so encouraging, Father Riley, to hear the vocation stories of young priests. And the last 2 years of my career, I taught at Lumen Christi. I taught theology, and there would be the vocation talk. And I tell you, I just thought, man, if I had heard that back in college,
mm,
I would have been, very enticed to consider seriously the priesthood. And so I just I'm so grateful that for the young priests and you working there at MSU campus, and
mm.
hopefully some of our listeners will, we'll think about it. What a great challenge in life to be married to Jesus. And we
Yes,
all
beautiful,
are.
Amen.
beautiful vocation, a beautiful
Yeah,
vocation to be one with the true bridegroom, the bridegroom
yeah, yeah.
himself, the Lord Jesus, the bridegroom of the church, and yeah, it's
Amen.
there's fertile ground for sure.
Well, before we
Um,
talk about Our Lady of Champion, I'd love you to chat about
yeah,
this.
yeah.
As you can see, if you're watching this video, between Father Riley and myself, it's a statue of Mary, which is Our Lady of the Smile. So, what's the story of that, Father Riley?
Yes. So this is a statue of our Blessed Mother. Yeah, Our Lady of the Smile is her title. This is because this is a replica of a statue that was in the bedroom of Saint Therese when she was around the age 14 or so. She was really suffering from an illness that was undiagnosed. She was not only suffering physically, but mentally. She was bedridden for, I think, at least a week. Just the doctors really had no idea, like, yeah, didn't know what was wrong with her, but her energy was down. Um, her mental, she just wasn't thinking clearly. She just had a lot of mental fog, a lot of anxiety, and just, yeah, in a really dark place. And as her family was praying for her to Mary, she looked up at this statue and Mary smiled. Yeah, she saw Our Lady smile at her, and I don't have the quote in front of me, but she writes about this encounter with her Blessed Mother in her Story of a Soul. And I think the way she describes it, like the moment she saw Mary smile at her, she was healed in an instant. That mental fog, that darkness was completely cast out, and light was restored to her mind, and health was restored to her body. And so that was one moment in the life of Saint Therese that uh, grew her devotion to our Blessed Mother. And providentially, when I walked into this office last summer, when I moved in as a new priest here, Mary, Our Lady of the Smile, was here to welcome me, which I'm very grateful to have. I think she was restored. Not too often you see her painted in this way with the blue and the white, because I think the original was just a kind of plaster white statue. But it's beautiful to have her open arms here, and yeah, in my office here, just a place where often pray for spiritual healing for the people who come to speak to me. So it's very grateful to have Mary's presence here, Our Lady of the Smile, in connection to Saint Therese, whose feast day we just celebrated yesterday. This is being recorded on October 2nd, so we just celebrated the feast of Saint Therese yesterday. So she's, yeah, beautiful to have those Marian saints to teach us what it means to be a daughter or a son of Mary.
Great. Well, Father, could you give us just because I only learned about Our Lady of Champion probably in the last 2 years. And I was just amazed when I found out that it's actually the only approved Marian apparition in the United States. And my wife and I visited over the summer. We loved it. But if you could just give us a short kind of history of Our Lady of Champion and Adele Brees and that whole story.
Yeah, it's a great, like, well-kept secret, which shouldn't be a secret, right? That we have an approved Marian apparition here in the U.S., especially here in the Midwest, just across the lake, Lake Michigan. Um, so I I'd have to maybe fact check all the details in terms like of the dates and everything, but basically there was yeah, immigrants. Um, um, yeah, maybe Lucian, you remember the country that they came
They
from?
came from Belgium.
Belgium, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Belgium immigrants,
Yep.
and yeah, when they settled in this land in Wisconsin, it was yeah a rough land, a very very rough country, a difficult place to settle, and just yeah a lot of hard manual labor for them to
This would have
earn
been
earn a
like in the
living.
1830s, we're talking about just in terms of a time frame. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, thank you. And I think there was a path that the children would often walk um, from like the place they work during the day in their own home, and so a very common path that the children would go back and forth every day, every morning, every night. And Adele, I forget
Adele
how
Breed.
aged she
Yeah,
was, how old she was,
yeah.
but
I think
she
she
was,
was, I want to say 13 or 14, something in,
yeah,
that's at least what's in my head. But
yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, yeah, maybe a young teenager, and she passing this usual place she would pass, she saw a woman. She saw a woman there, um, a figure that I think the first encounter was just like that. She was there and she noted of it and passed on. But then it happened again, right? It happened again with her second encounter, and she asked. Um, I believe so. Yeah, I'd have to go back to see in terms of the dialogue in terms of like
Well, if you
what
want
she
all the
asked, but
details, you can go to the Our Lady of Champion website. They've got the whole story there. But
Yeah.
and it is a very powerful story.
right.
So Father, Maple, I would love you to chat a little bit about the Peshtigo fire, which is
Oh,
something that
yeah.
it just kind of blows you away when you hear that story. Could you maybe just
Yeah.
summarize that for our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, so the Peshtigo fire is like, yeah, this historic fire that took out not only like the acres around where Champion, Wisconsin is, but really like, almost like the whole like, northern part of Wisconsin.
It's actually the same date as the Chicago fire. That was one of the things I thought,
Okay,
really? So yes, so
that's
there,
right. Yeah, it kind of got lost in history,
yeah,
kind of overshadowed by the
right.
Chicago fire.
Yeah. Anyway, so this huge fire kind of covered that whole region of of
Hmm.
Wisconsin and Illinois.
Right. Yeah. So the news got to this village of yeah these immigrants in Champion, Wisconsin, and got knew that this fire was approaching. So they were praying. Did I think yeah different prayer vigils, and at one point they even like process a statue of our Blessed Mother around um, yeah around their fields, around their property, and specifically praying to yeah, our Blessed Mother who appeared to Adele earlier in that same space. And it's yeah, it is amazing to hear because when the fire approached, um, like the place was spared. Like it was the fire was stopped right before
Right
the
at the
property, right?
fence line. It's just like, I mean, you can walk the property and they basically say the fire in essence came up to the fence and just stopped. It
Yeah.
yeah, and
It's
the whole area around it was engulfed in flames. Just an incredible story of kind of,
mhm,
and this was about, I want to say, about 20 years after the apparition. So this was in somewhere around
mhm,
1880-ish, and Mary had
1870.
appeared to Adele, I think, in like 20 years early. I mean,
mhm,
a significant time before that. So anyway, it's just an amazing story. And as I said,
mhm,
if you go to Our Lady of Champion, the Shrine's website, you can learn all the facts about this really incredible and very inspiring story. So,
mhm.
Father, you have visited multiple times. Why is it you keep going back to Our Lady of Champion?
Yeah, so like you, when I first heard about it, I was surprised to know that there was a shrine in Wisconsin. As I said, I went to school for engineering at MSU as an undergrad, and part of my program was to do some internships. So I was actually living in Wisconsin for about 8 months, like halfway through my degree program, and got plugged into Catholic ministry, Catholic campus ministry over there in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and they were going on a pilgrimage. So I joined them to Our Lady of Champagne, which at the time back then was Our Lady of Good Help, right? Because it's gone through a couple iterations of ecclesiastical approval, right? First it was approved by the local bishop, and then after it got approval by Rome, she actually took on the name of the city itself, the village itself, Our Lady of Champion. So yeah, I went there as a pilgrim to Our Lady of Good Help with some other young adults, and yeah, very peaceful place. And it was yeah at a time in my life where I was just like kind of asking God for direction, right? I was kind of halfway through this engineering degree and yeah, kind of feeling out where my life was headed. And it was just a very helpful place to go with other young adults that were also college students. Um, yeah, kind of just
Hmm.
asking for the Lord's guidance as we make these decisions, kind of what to do with our lives after college. And so it was the first time I went. And then, um, yeah, as I said, it was about 8 months that I was over there. So my parents came to visit me in Wisconsin while I was over there, and yeah, we had a free weekend, so I encouraged us to make the drive because I was living in the Diocese of Green Bay, which is where the apparition is as well. So it was a quick, pretty easy day trip to head up there. So that was the second time we took my parents to show them this shrine, which was also a surprise to them. Um, and then the third time, okay, so fast forward, I entered seminary after graduating from MSU and working for a few years. And about halfway through our seminary studies, we take a break in the summer to go on pilgrimage and then to do a 30-day silent retreat. So we go over to South Dakota, a little town called Irene, South Dakota, and spend 30 days in silence, going through the spiritual exercises of Saint Ignatius. And so on our way back from that retreat, uh, my classmate and I, and my two classmates and I, stopped at a couple of the shrines of Wisconsin, right? Because it's not just Our Lady of Champion. There's also a couple other shrines in Wisconsin, Our Lady of Guadalupe and
Yep. And Holy
Holy
Hill.
Hill.
Yep.
So we kind of hit those Marian shrines on our way back to Michigan, just taking our time. And that was another stop that we made. So to pray at Our Lady of Champion. And then this past year, I was able to join or accompany some young adults from our diocese here. We ended up visiting Our Lady of Champion on May 31st, the Feast of the Visitation, uh, kind of pilgrimage that was coordinated um, by the diocese for young adults, and I was able to accompany them as a chaplain. So that was, yeah, the fourth time that I was able to go there, and just being able to pray there um, now as a priest, and just kind of seeing how in those different moments of my life, Mary has always like been there for me, been um, a mother for me, guiding me, showing me the way. So it's been beautiful to have like a place to kind of return to at different seasons of life, um, and to see like Mary's hand in all of it, and it's a very peaceful place. It's a very humble. I mean, the other two shrines that we visited in Wisconsin are much more grand, yeah, much larger churches, but this is a very, very humble little chapel. I think I was talking to one person, she described it as like the feeling you get when you like go into your grandma's basement. Because you kind of go down these steps in like this like dark kind of dungy place, and that's where the apparition site is. And I just remember for me, like my grandma had a basement. That's where all of us cousins would just go and like play games and have Thanksgiving dinner and just kind of hang out. It's kind of like, and it has that, yeah, with Mary as our spiritual mother, it kind of feels like home. And it's a very peaceful place to pray.
Yeah, that's the thing that struck me is it's very like Robert and his wife just returned from a pilgrimage to Rome, and they had an amazing experience, I think, that whole time from everything I could tell. But Our Lady of Champion is like the other extreme in that it's in the middle of a cornfield. It's very small and humble, I guess but it is so, as you kind of mentioned, there's just a real peace there that just walking around the grounds, praying the rosary, going into that chapel. I mean, I don't, I, when actually we were there over the summer, we ended up going three times on Sunday for Mass, and then we went back on Monday on our way up to Door County, and then we went a third time returning from Door County.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we kind of experienced God moving in a different way. And the third time we were there, we actually learned that there was a reliquary behind where, in the chapel that we didn't even know was there the first two times. And there were like 33 just amazing relics, John Paul II and just all these saints. And it was so powerful to just pray. And there was actually the man cleaning the reliquary. He said, well, I'll take these out and you can actually, adore or whatever, you can touch these relics. It was incredibly powerful. So I just think it's one of those places, as you say, it's like, it's not Rome or it's not this grand place, but it's just this quiet, simple place where I think Mary really can talk to us very personally.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that thinking about Rome or like Jerusalem or places that cost a plane fare that's considerable and you've got to stay a number of nights. Wisconsin for us in the Midwest, and that's partly what Fish on Fridays is trying to encourage is pilgrimages, right? In this region in the Great Lakes, and it costs something to go up there. I mean, you've got to take a day or two to go up there, so it really is a pilgrimage, and yet it's so doable too. So it's something sort of like in between, going to mass at your own parish and going to Jerusalem. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm making an effort here. It really is a pilgrimage, but a pilgrimage so close, and to think just that God is showing up in places like, the farm next to me, right? I mean, it's like that's a good thing to know.
Mm-hmm.
So, Father, I think you would recommend it for families thinking about a week because, all of us would like to. I mean, even here in North America, we'd love to go to Guadalupe, but we'd love to go to Lourdes and Fatima. But I think my strong encouragement is that's kind of something maybe you can do when you retire, when you get to my age. But if you've got a young family, a trip to Wisconsin, it's actually doable in a weekend pretty easily. And by the way, if you're football fans, you're only 20 miles outside of Green Bay.
That's
The
right.
tour of Lambeau Field is absolutely outstanding if you're a football fan. So if you want to put faith, family, and football together, you really have them all in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And food.
Father, I wanted to just mention and have you talk about it is.
And let me just say one.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Just recently, I had a family from our parish that said they did a pilgrimage to Our Lady of Champion this summer. Yeah, took a weekend and to drive out there. You gain an hour on the way there. So actually, yeah, you just gain a little bit of time when you're heading out that direction, and they were able to go in as a family, had two younger children, to make the pilgrimage, and
Yeah.
they said it was well worth it to make that time for the Lord.
So, and the last point I wanted to mention is October 9th is actually the feast day of Our Lady of Champion.
Mm-hmm.
And so for those of you who are thinking, wow, I can't probably make a visit there, the one thing I would suggest you do is go to the Our Lady of Champion website. We learn a little about the story. There's videos there. You could show one of those or one or two of those to your kids. Talk about her life with your family, because I think she's her whole vocation, Adele Brees, was really about educating children. That was what God put on her heart.
Yeah.
And kind of educate. I think there is something Mary said to her, something to the effect of, teach the children my faith in this wild country. It's on the website, so you can get the exact words that Adele heard. But I think for those of us who are either teachers or parents or grandparents, Our Lady of Champion and Adele are really can be an inspiration for us about helping our kids grow in faith. So there's a real, I think, a special connection for all of us with kids or who are educating kids. And so October 9th is coming right up. And so think about and maybe next summer even. Now, if you can do it during the Jubilee year, that's always special because it is one of in Wisconsin, there are, as Father mentioned, there are 3 approved Jubilee sites, and Holy Hill, which is outside of Milwaukee, Our Lady of Champion, and then Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is over in La Crosse. And all 3, I've only been to Our Lady of Champion, but I really want to go to the other 2 as well.
Yeah. And when we went this past May, we actually went to Holy Hill on the way to Our Lady of Champion, which is a little bit out of the way. Maybe it adds a half hour to your drive or something, but it's well worth passing by on your way to Champion to go to Holy Hill. So it's definitely possible to hit both in one trip.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Father. Thank you, Robert. It's been great
Father.
having this conversation with you. You've been listening to Fish on Friday. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.